Hello and welcome back to the Port Show. This week I am joined by Chris Sherrard. Chris, it's great to have you back. How are you keeping?
Good, Neil. Thanks for having me back. And just wondering where your mate is. He's off eating prawn sandwiches somewhere, or sorry, cocktail sausages somewhere. He's fond of the old half-time service these days, isn't he? In his blazer.
He is indeed. He's a changed man, our Dave. He's a different guy now. I feel like I don't know him anymore.
I know it's gone to his head, this fame, hasn't it?
That's what they always say. Folks, before we kick on with the show, if you'd like to like and subscribe to our Ports TV YouTube channel, and you can find us on a variety of platforms for the podcast itself on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc., and so on. But we'll get straight into the show, and there's only one place to start, isn't there? And unfortunately, it was at Moorview Park on Saturday past there. We faced our Mid-Ulster rivals, Glenavon. Felt going into it that we really owed them one after the Christmas disaster. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So, Chris, the floor is yours.
Oh, it could be messy. I'll try and keep it PG. Well, it's been a number of days now since, and I'm still pretty angry about it, to be honest, because it was abject in the extreme. It was like you. I was going into it, fairly confident that we would put on at least some sort of show and put up some sort of fight. And it's a big game for us as supporters, and you'd like to think that is reflected in the team as well. So we went there, went to Moorview on Saturday thinking, right, draw at worst. And I'm quietly confident we could maybe nick it. But all that went out the window. All that hope disappeared within 15, 20 minutes. We were just terrible. We've lost over the last couple of years. It's not been great football, obviously, and we've not had loads and loads of highs. But, in terms of lows, Saturday for me, like we've lost to PSNI and we've lost to Knockbreda. We've had some terrible Saturday afternoons. That for me is right up there, right down there as one of the worst Saturdays in a long time, because for all those reasons I mentioned about the hope and the not the expectation, but the anticipation, and to be well and truly gubbed by them just was terrible. And to have to watch their fans really rubbing it in and singing about us going down and everything that went with it. And we would have been doing the same in the exact same situation. It was galling, and it was embarrassing, and it was really difficult to take. So where do you start? Look, it's not my job to find out why it's gone wrong or what happened on Saturday. I'm sure Paul Doolan's well capable of doing that, but he's got a big job on his hand. That's pretty clear, especially off the back of the Glentoran game, where we thought, okay, we can see progress here. And up at Coleraine as well, I thought we played pretty well that day, and we're unlucky, probably deserved to lose on the balance of play that afternoon, but still put up a good show. That's all we expect, and that's all we ever want to see, is put up a good show, put up as much fight as you possibly can, and make it as hard as you possibly can for the opposition. We didn't do any of that on Saturday. We rolled over. We let them through at will. Every time they came forward, I thought there's another goal coming here. Just looked so insipid at the back, so easy to break through. There was no hunger, no fight, no quality on show either. Even some of our players who you would say are reliable, just had an off day as well. So an absolutely terrible afternoon. And I certainly left the ground in foul form, and it's taken a while to get out of that. And obviously you then look at the fixture list, you've got Linfield next away, and they've not lost at home all season. So it's pretty difficult to take the positives from Saturday. In fact, I'm struggling to think of any positives from Saturday. Hopefully you can think of some and cheer me up a bit.
I don't know. I mean, I was really disappointed on Saturday. Really, really disappointed. I left the ground feeling really abject and miserable, to be honest. And listen, I tried my best to find positives, and no matter what the situation is, but I mean, I was bitterly disappointed on Saturday. Like you said, anticipation of looking forward to getting back to play at Moorview, because it is good as an away supporter, going to grounds like that, and especially when it's your Mid-Ulster rival, the games are always, they're usually close there and stuff. no matter whichever way the games go. Like, and it was just I like, if we had a good beat, I would have been obviously disappointed, but just the manner we got beat, I was like, we haven't even. It's like it was as if we were in a boxing match and we didn't even land one punch on them, and it was really disappointing. And the adjectives you've already used to describe it is how I described it as well. Albeit, I think most people would probably maybe go a bit further than that, but we're obviously trying to keep this a bit PG and don't want to swear too much. So
yeah, I'm holding myself back, but especially with good crowd there, good support. The players had plenty of backing, and we were loud, and we made plenty of noise to support the team as well. And it's just, all you expect as a supporter is give your all, give 100%. If it's not good enough, you're outclassed. The quality's better on the other side. You'll hold your hands up and you'll say fair enough. But to not even get out of second gear was just, it's pretty unforgivable, to be honest. And we need to see a response from that, and we need to see a reaction to it, because there's a lot of disappointed people there on Saturday. A lot of, they're all in the stands, and obviously the players are disappointed as well. But do they care enough? Do they want it enough? Do they want to be here next season? Are they just passing through? That's my concern. And also, my big concern is, where's the goals coming from? We haven't scored. Obviously the late equaliser against Glentoran aside, but we've barely scored in a couple of months. So that's a big fear for me as well. Nobody scored fewer goals than us in the top flight, and it's not only that. We're not looking like scoring. Last Saturday we didn't look like scoring at all. You never thought when we got into their half, on the few occasions that we did get into their half, you never thought that, right, here's a goal coming. Whereas coming the other way, it looked every time like, I'm not even going to say their name, but every time they came forward, I thought, another goal here, and we're not carrying enough of a threat. And that's something that needs to be fixed pretty quickly, because we've seen Warren Point start to pick up. Warren Point haven't really been far away in their games either. The games that they've lost, they've not been hammered. They haven't had too many tankings. And obviously they got a good win on Saturday past themselves. So they've got their tails up and our tails between our legs at the minute. So we need big changes now. We need to see some sort of reaction, but it's going to take a hell of a lot of work, and we knew that anyway. But Saturday underlined that.
Like, before the game on Saturday, I had a feeling Warren Point were going to beat Carrick. I said it beforehand. If you I was like, Warren Point are going to beat Carrick today, because Carrick are low in confidence and they're dropping like a stone as well. But the only thing is, they've got a bit of a gap between us and them. But I just thought Warren Point, and you know what, on Tuesday night there, so we're recording this on Thursday night, on Tuesday night, and I was looking at it, and then Coleraine went 1-0 up, and I thought, happy days. And then it came up equaliser, and I was like, oh no, like, please God, do not get a winner. And then thankfully Coleraine actually got a winner in the end, and it was a scrappy enough goal. And like you say, I like, obviously the game against Warren Point's the following week, but we'll obviously get the Linfield game before that. We'll touch on it soon. But Warren Point, I think I'm sure the players would be, listen, I don't know, I'm not a fly on the wall in the dressing room, I'm not obviously not in the dressing room myself, so I'm assuming the players would have known at half time that Warren Point were beating Carrick. So what I would have expected is, and listen, I know we're already down to 10 men and all by then, but should he, even to try and attack, get a couple of goals and maybe try and boost a bit of confidence and stuff, because you're looking over your shoulder now, and like you say, they're not getting hammered, whereas the way I look at it, we'll get a draw here and there, and then we'll get an absolute tanking, and then it's sort of like rinse, repeat, here we go again. But we need to get a win on the board, like, badly.
Yeah, I think you'll know better than me. I think after Warren Point, it's Carrick, isn't it? So those two games back to back make or break the season, I think, in terms of the momentum. You get a couple of wins, or 4 points out of 6 from those two games, and you've got momentum and you're going in the right direction again. If you lose both those games, it's going to be a hard ship to turn around, I think. So, it's crucial couple of weeks coming up.
So we've got Linfield this Saturday, then we'll have Warren Point at home, which is massive. Then there's Carrick away midweek on a Tuesday night, massive again. Mm-hmm. And then we have Ballymena at home, Coleraine at home, and Cliftonville at home at the end of March. So it's not easy games there either. Do you know what I mean? Cliftonville's the game. It's on BBC at the end of March.
Right.
So
it's split, obviously.
But
it's momentum. It's momentum that everybody talks about momentum, but it's the key to it. If you've got the wind in your sails, you can start climbing the table. But if it's against you and you're losing games and heads are down, then it becomes very difficult to turn that around. So crucial. So I thought it was Saturday. So that's Saturday, Tuesday, you say. So that's those 4 days are absolutely massive for us.
Apologies, sorry. It's obviously this Saturday, then next Saturday against Warren Point, but the following week is Irish Cup weekend. So we don't have a game, but then we're playing on the Tuesday night.
Right. Okay. So you've got
a week and a half essentially.
Yeah. So let's get through this Saturday coming and go from there.
Yeah. Right. Well, we've already touched on the game against them. We won't say their name.
They're not even. Not to labour the point. They're not even that good. I know they'll be thrown back against me, but the money they've spent and the players they brought in, they're in the bottom half of the table. They weren't even that good on Saturday. That's the killer for me. The fact that we made it so easy for them. We could actually give them a game and match them in terms of effort. Then there's no reason why we couldn't have taken something from. But in terms of quality, I wasn't impressed by them. I've seen them a few times this season. I've never been impressed by them. We should have beat them, obviously, that right at the start of the season. The Boxing Day or day after Boxing Day game, we all know about that. That's been well earned, and Saturday we were well beaten in the end. But in terms of looking at them as a team, never impressed me. But maybe that's sour grapes.
Well, actually, you touched upon it already. There was a big crowd there on Saturday, and I think that's one of the things that disappoints me most this season about some of the games at Portadown is Portadown are well backed off the field by fans. Now they are, and I think the games against Dungannon at home, early doors in the season, it was in September. Glenavon on Boxing Day +1, Dungannon again, just after Christmas, and then Glenavon again. Portadown have brought really, really good support to those games, especially, and I think that's what's the most disappointing aspect is because we're still getting good crowds, and you don't want. I don't want people to turn their back on the team, which is something that people shouldn't be doing anyway, in my opinion. But you want to keep the interest there, you want to keep the numbers there, because if fans start losing interest, it's sort of just like you say, confidence is gone. The wind, you don't have the wind between your sails and stuff, and that's the disappointing thing for me is where there's been games where big crowds have showed up for Portadown and we've just not showed up on the pitch, and it's been really disappointing.
Well, don't worry. The Portadown supporters will always turn out. We've turned out like in those. We've gone to Knockbrae and we've gone to PSNI and we've gone to Ballyclare and all those places, Dergview. We've gone to those places and supported them, and we'll continue to do that. There's no doubt about that. But you're right. The players need to give something back to that, and that is a concern for me because it seems like the squad is quite a transient team, and it feels like are they just passing through here? Do they care enough? Obviously, they're not going to care as much as the supporters do, but at least show us that even if you're here on a short-term basis or you're here for a year or two, at least put the effort in for a year or two and really leave your mark when you do come to walk out of the club as well. Again, that you can always come back and you'll always be welcome back. Give your all. It doesn't feel like that's too much to ask, but it's amazing that you have to say that these days. And I don't sense it. On Saturday, I didn't sense that anybody was really busted. It didn't seem like it was hurting enough people. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was hurting them to a certain extent, but it didn't feel like it was hurting them enough. Do you know what I mean? And that's the disappointing thing for me. But the fans will be there, and we deserve a lot more than we've been getting on the pitch over the last year or so. But you like to think if you hang in there and keep going, we'll get something to properly cheer about at some point soon.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so on Saturday here we travel to Windsor Park to face the reigning champions Linfield, who are on the back of a disappointing result as well. They obviously lost last Friday night to their local rivals and nearest title challengers, Glentoran. I'm expecting a backlash following that result. Obviously, we're going to be at the forefront of that because we're up next to them. And hopefully this isn't the case, of course, but I would expect a reaction from Linfield. Do you think Paul Doolin will ring the changes this weekend following the disappointing result last week? Obviously, we don't have Mashigo. He gets sent off, which was really disappointing because I actually have been very impressed by him.
Yeah, I think he will bring the changes. You saw it at half time, even on Saturday, where he wanted to try and get a reaction. I think we're still at that phase where he's getting to know the players. They're new. There's a lot of new players to the club from the January window, but there's also all the players are new to Doolin as well. So he's getting to know the players that he wants on the pitch, what his best team looks like as well. I don't think he knows what that is at the minute, so he's still going to test and try things out. Saturday, what can you say about Saturday? It could be one of those games where they surprise us, where we've seen that a few times. Obviously, the Glentoran game is the most recent example of it, but those big games, we tend to see a bit more effort for whatever reason. We tend to see a bit more, and we've taken things from those games. This season as well, a lot of the draws have been against the bigger teams, haven't they? So you never know. I mean, the Linfield, I don't think, have lost at Windsor Park in the league all season. And you're right, they will be hurting from that game on Friday. They'll need to keep winning or get back to winning ways to push for the title. But from our point of view, I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier. If we're going to lose, let's lose by putting up a fight, and let's not be kicking ourselves in the changing room afterwards thinking we should have given a bit more there, because that's your opportunity to do it. Now, Linfield, obviously we know the resources they have, we know the players they have. They're not in great form. They're not the Linfield of previous years. I don't think, albeit there's still every chance of them winning the title. But Coleraine beat them pretty comfortably, 3-0 up at their place. Glentoran beat them, so they're not infallible. There's no, we're not looking at a team here that's untouchable and unbeatable and one of the greatest sides of any era. They're not, but neither are we, and we're far from their level as well. So we just need to see the effort levels being there and the hunger and the determination being there, and what will be on Saturday.
Do you remember the game against Linfield away on a Friday night in 2017? It was when Niall Curry was still manager, and it was the season we got relegated, and nobody gave us a chance in hell at getting anything, and we played absolutely brilliant that night, and we were so unlucky to concede a last-minute equaliser, but Adam Foley scored a wonder goal. He chipped the keeper. Do you remember that game?
Yes, I remember the goal. Until you said that, I was thinking, I don't have any recollection of this game whatsoever. And then you mentioned Adam Foley's goal, and it clicked. Yeah, but that we've seen that over the years, haven't we? Where we've been written off, given no chance in some certain games, and even the Glentoran game, where who thought we were going to take anything from that game, and certainly in the manner of it as well. And
I did.
Well, you're the most optimistic Portadown fan I've ever met. Then. Yeah, the form they were in, the form we were in, but there you go. So football, that's why we love football, because you never know what, nothing's certain until it's over. So, who knows? I love your optimism. I love to think someone's gonna pop up with an absolute screamer and get us a point to get our season going again here.
Yeah. And well, I mean, listen, I'm not. It's not that I'm a case of going in and being over optimistic like that, but Portadown have given Linfield a game twice this season. Obviously, we got the draw at Shamrock Park earlier in the season, and then they beat us late on as well, 3-2. And I thought we played very well that day, and we're very unlucky. And then subsequently, then the 0-0 as well at Shamrock Park, and it was a good performance. So, like you said, we do seem to do better against bigger teams. It's actually frustrating because the games in the roundest teams, or even in the bottom half, Glenavon and stuff, we've been beat twice recently by them. We've lost to Dungannon twice recently as well. Sorry, 3 times this season we've been beat by Dungannon. Apologies.
I'm well beaten every single time. Dungannon have played us off the park. Every single time they've outplayed us. They've just knocked it round us for fun and made mugs of us.
Yeah, But then on the flip side, now it's obviously different away from home, but at home we've drew with Linfield, we've drew with Larne, we've drew with Coleraine, we've drew with Cliftonville, we've drew with Glentoran, and Crusaders scored a last-minute winner against us. So it's frustrating in that aspect that they can lift it for the bigger games, and I'm really hoping. Do you know what? The Linfield game, in a sense, of course, you don't want to lose. In a sense, it's a free hit because we're not expected to get anything. But the big game is the following week. Now, it is absolutely massive. Now, the thing before we play them next week, Warrenpoint play Coleraine again this Saturday, albeit at home. And even the Coleraine boys that were on the show here a few weeks ago, they were saying about Warrenpoint, Coleraine, they usually beat them, but just it's as if they fall over the line. They can never hit them hard or give them a hammer and again it happened the other night as well, and so that won't be an easy game for Coleraine on Saturday. Hopefully Coleraine can win, and then Carrick are playing Crusaders, so again you'd hope Crusaders would do us a favour. And then
what's the points difference with the Carrick at the minute? I should know that. Let me see if I can. 9, right? And games, play the same number of games.
Yeah.
Play the same number of games. So I mean, that's why I talk about momentum. You know, Carrick obviously are struggling for that momentum, whereas they had it at the start of the season. So it's hard when it's going against you. It's hard to turn that around. So let's hope that continues for another 12 weeks or whatever the rest of the season is.
But even before we play Warrenpoint next week, Warrenpoint actually play Cliftonville midweek as well. So
right. Where's that one? Is that in Belfast?
No, it's at Milltown, I think.
Right.
And then that would mean we would have a game in hand of them going into the game against next week. But hopefully Warrenpoint have got 0 points from these 2 games, and then we play them next week. But it's
best case scenario is we go and get something on Saturday, be it a draw or whatever it is, but at least let's say a performance that gives us confidence and momentum going into the Warrenpoint game. We go and get a result in that, beat them. All of a sudden opens up another bit of a gap. We take that confidence into the Carrick game and get another result, and all of a sudden it's a much brighter picture. And it can happen. It's not beyond the realms of possibility there. It's within their control to do that, but they need to really grasp that one now themselves, the players.
Yeah. No, indeed. Well, listen, I don't want to end this show on a downer, because it's as if there's like a cloud hanging above the pair of us here, and it's just rain, permanent rain and wind outside. But I'll tell you what, I was just off the cuff last week. I did a few quick fire questions with Dave about Portadown, so I'm going to put you in the spot as well, right? So what's your favourite ever Portadown memory?
Oh. Well, winning the titles, obviously you can't look beyond that. I think probably league titles, Irish Cup wins, probably, if I had to go for one, probably be the Irish Cup in '91, fresh-faced, and it's those formative years. I was 10, so when that happens, that sets you up as a supporter for life. Then when you see your team winning the Irish Cup and the double at that age, so I'd probably go for that above all others. But thankfully there's been plenty of them to pick from.
And would you pick then the '91 Cup final as your favourite match as well? Because funny, that is what Dave had as well last week.
Yeah, I would. But there's been what single game? Yeah, you'd have to say it. For the crowd, the game, the opponents, everything about it. You have to say that. Yeah.
Fair enough. And who's your favourite all-time Portadown player?
Oh. How long have you got for that one? And there's so many. The first player I remember just falling in love with was Joey Cunningham. Just watching him going up and down the wing and the speed that he used to burst through with and all the rest of it. So he was the first player I fell in love with. But my favorite ever player, I would say probably Vinnie Arkins for the impact he had in both boxes, the goals he scored. He's just everywhere. He's just a man for all seasons as well. Plus that era, we were winning things, we were competitive, and he was the main man in that team for me as well. So I'll go for him. But there's lots of other notable candidates. Mickey Collins is one of my favorites as well of all time. There's so many. But if I had to go for one and you're holding a gun to my head, I would say Vinnie Arkins.
Good answer. We could do with him now. Yeah, he could do a job still.
You probably could, couldn't you? There's so many that
Yeah.
you could do with. But he, like he used to go back for every corner and clear. It would be the man on his, he'd get his head on the end of every one of an opponent's corners, and then it was almost like he'd then run up the other end of the pitch and put the ball in the net from his own clearance. It was that sort of thing. He was Superman. He almost needed a cape on him on Saturdays. The way he played, he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
As I heard a funny story before. I can't remember exactly who it was that told it, because I saw it on Twitter. I think it was about a year ago, maybe a wee bit more than that because of COVID. So whoever this involves, if you want to get in touch with us and let us know, that would be great. So I read this story and it was on Twitter, and it was a Portadown fan who went down to Dublin for the weekend, and I'm not sure if he was with his missus or whatever like that. And right enough, they ordered a taxi, and came out of the bar, had it obviously stumbled into the taxi, and who was driving the taxi? Vinnie Organs.
No, when was this? When was this?
It was just only a couple of years ago, because I think he does. Well, he definitely did have something to do with the taxi company. I think he may have owned his own firm or whatever. And
Right.
but he was driving the taxis, and this Portadown fan in Dublin was getting lifted and laid around Dublin by Vinnie Orkins. So he said it was a great experience. Like, so,
Wow. Well,
yeah.
I remember going to, not long after Peter Kennedy had signed for Watford. I was over in London. I thought, I'm going to try and get up to Watford for an afternoon. So I went up to Watford, got the train up there, wandered down to Vicarage Road. The players were training on the pitch, believe it or not. So I just hung about, waited for Peter Kennedy to come out, got chatting to him. One, I'll take you and show you around Watford. Jumped in the car with Peter Kennedy, driving around Watford. He's showing me the limited sights of Watford, but albeit it was a good experience. And then he had a shirt in the boot of the car. He listed out and signs it, and then hands it to me, and I jumped back on the train back to London. So that was a trip well worth doing at the time.
That's amazing. That's an absolutely
But what a player
fantastic
he
story.
was as well. He'd be another. If you're doing a
Yeah.
Portadown all-time 11, he'd be he'd be a strong candidate for that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant in that 95, 96 league winning team as well. Like,
Yeah.
those were the days. So what about favourite ever Portadown kit?
I heard Dave answering that one last week, and he's talked about the Tato one, which, yes, as soon as he said that, I was applauding, because that was a cracker. I do love. I'm an Adidas man. I love the Adidas ones of recent years as well. It's been great to have them back. But if you're gonna, if I could only have one shirt, it'd probably be the Roy Paul Motors one from the early '90s. That just is so evocative of glory and success, and you close your eyes and you think of the players who were wearing it in those days, with Greg Davis and players like that. So I'd probably go for that one.
No, very good. Funny you say about the Adidas ones. I really like the Adidas kit we had when we won the Irish Cup in 2005. Just pure red with just the wee small white stripes here. It was just pure red collar, or not red round neck and all.
Yeah.
And barely anything else on it. I love that. Love it. It's one of my
It's
favorites.
Adidas for you. Like they always do a classy kit, I think.
Yeah, really, really striking job. So I can't even think if yeah. So the last question I asked Dave last week was, if there's one player you could go back and grab from any era and stick them in the team now, who would it be and why?
I think, did Dave go for Peebles, midfield hard man? I think it was his choice, wasn't it, last week, if I'm right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we're missing, is someone just to grab a game by the scruff of the neck in the middle of the park. But you could also make a strong case for Vinny or Gary Haylock or someone like that, who's gonna, like I said earlier, where's the goals coming from at the minute? So I'd probably say a striker, because a good striker who gets 30, 35 goals a season can overwrite a lot of bad work at the back. So I'll probably go for Vinny.
Yeah. You know what? He's my favorite all-time Portadown player as well. So
Because I was going to ask, so you've answered that one, yeah. If he just, you could imagine him, he wouldn't be standing for some of the performances as well. In terms of standards, he led by example. He was one of those sort of captains, wasn't he? And he got out there, and if we were playing like that on Saturday, 1-0 down, damn sure we wouldn't have gone 2-0 down quite as easily.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute legend. He's my favorite all-time player. Him and Mickey Collins are, to me, I've discussed this before with with different people at Portadown, and you're talking about everyone has favorite players for different reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that's the best ever player. It might be somebody that scored a, like a one-off great goal, and you just say, wow, like. But for each club, no matter who you support or whatever, I always think there's like club legends, and then there's like gods of the club who are like on the next level. If you know what I mean, like you have legends and great players and stuff, but there are players that are on like a different level, and I think Vinny's in that level for me, and I just think he's always been my all-time Portadown player, favorite Portadown player. Like, and you always get people like say about Stevie Cowan, like you would put him in that echelon. Stevie Cowan, Joey Cunningham, Mickey Keenan, Vinny Arkin's, like bona fide Portadown legends. Like, and
oh yeah. So if you were going to pick a Portadown five-a-side team to go and represent the club in an Irish League competition of all time, who would your five be then?
So, listen, the Stevie Cowan era and stuff is like I was only 3 when Portadown, won the double in '91 and stuff, like, so that's really before my time. So, but I always prominently remember as a kid go in the 95, 96 season. So, but then Portadown have had some good keepers over the years as well, so you've had Tim Dalton, played a big part in that. Mickey Keenan, obviously 2002. David Miskelly was a brilliant keeper. Kevin Pressman, the one season he was there, he was unbelievable.
I'm only half a season, but Bobby Edwards. I mean,
yeah,
talk about an impact from only small number of games, but that's a man who'll always be welcome back at the club for the impact he made and the effort he put in.
Yeah, so I could have to put Mickey Keenan in. Mickey Keenan have to be the keeper. Has to be Mickey Keenan. 46 winning the league in 2002. Unbelievable. And do you know what?
He's probably still playing. He's probably still playing somewhere for nearly seconds or something like that.
Do you know what? I heard a story. I was listening to, it was my friend Potsy. He had a podcast. I did a one-to-one chat with Paul Lehman, and I possibly got any questions for me. And I was like, do you know what? I've always thought Paul Lehman was a top player, and I sent them in one about what were your battles like against Portadown. Back in that era when the Portadown and Glentoran were really at each other. Like, and he was saying, he told a funny story about in the Glentoran changing room before those games. So the 102 season, that Roy Coyle was going round and was like, Mickey Keenan is 46. See, whenever he gets the ball, bin him, corners, hit him, all that sort of stuff. And Paul Lehman was like, it didn't faze Mickey Keenan at all. He goes, unbelievable goalkeeper. He was absolutely brilliant. He just 46 and throwing yourself around. But I always remember that story, and that was quite funny. But I'll go Mickey Keenan. Mickey Collins would definitely be in the team. Vinny Arkins. 2 more.
Darren Kelly. Skill, don't you? You want someone with good feet, quick feet in a tight space and five-a-side, don't you?
Yeah. I'm putting Darren Kelly in defence. Darren Kelly was he was another player that I really, really liked whenever he was there.
Definitely.
Darren Kelly. So we'll go Mickey Keenan, Darren Kelly, Mickey Collins, Vinny, and then so we go on somebody with a lot of technical ability. Kevin Braniff.
Braniff, yeah, he'd get you out of a tight corner, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I think that's an unbelievable Portadown five-a-side team.
That is. It's hard to. I'm trying to think. Who will I not have there? I definitely have Mickey. Definitely have both Mickeys. I definitely have Vinny, Braniff. Great shout. Darren Kelly. Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. We've had some good centre halves. You'd be looking at Strain and Stewart and Major, but Darren Kelly's got that aerial presence as well. So yeah, no, let's send your five-a-side team into battle against the Irish League Greys. We'd have a chance of winning that title.
Here, do you know what? Maybe they should bring back. You remember the Masters five-a-side competition they used to have over in the O2 Arena? We should rally a Portadown team together and stick them in.
Yeah, and even with Greg Davison, looks like he looks after himself as well. So I'd say you could throw him in there as well, and he would do you a job, and he'd get up and down as well. So we've got abundance of riches there. So let's push for the superstar sixes or whatever it was called to come back, and we can target that silverware.
There you go, folks. So that's mine and Chris's ultimate Portadown five-a-side team there. So if you want to get in touch and let us know your thoughts, who would you have and why? by all means, feel free. So I think on that cheery note, we'll wrap it up here. So Chris, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on again.
Always. Thank you. Now.
You're very welcome. Folks, as always, thank you for watching and listening. And like I said earlier, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Ports TV YouTube channel. And you can check us out on a variety of different podcast platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, etc., etc. So yes, cheers, folks, and good luck to Portadown on Saturday.
On the Ports.
Sorry, before I cancel this or call it off, I've just been handed this note. Shocking.
Oh, who's done that to you?
Kirsty again. She's getting her wee shout out here. She sent me a wee letter. I said put on her crap. So yeah.
There's serious words needed there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Right, folks. Cheers. Up the Ports.